free, Burberry. I don't know if we're supposed to introduce ourselves. So my personality type, I'm going to start with the team helper personality assessment, and I scored a 4.5 out of 5 on the extroversion. That is no surprise to our team members, as I tend to be really outgoing, active, and I prefer to interact with people. I prefer to work in teams. However, I do tend to be a natural leader in the teams, whether I should be or not. One thing I can consider on this and work on, I think, is kind of making sure, since I try to tend to be a leader and also bring people together through humor sometimes to get us all to collaborate, I think I tend to say things that don't sound right, so I need to consider what comes out of my mouth carefully and also listen carefully to others. I tend to be very agreeable. I do this in order to keep team moving along. However, if you're being a leader and you're being too agreeable, sometimes I think that you can accept ideas that don't necessarily meet the goals of the team. So making sure that, and I think sometimes too I overcompensate and accept people's ideas because I don't want to seem like I'm pushing them down as a leader. So I accept them before they make total sense. So I need to carefully consider and involve everybody in decision-making process as far as ideas and such, and adapting them. I tend to be moderately conscientious. I do tend to be 2 minutes late to everything sometimes, but I am moderately organized and dependable. I'm very dependable, but I do think that I am moderately organized, and I think that's what I try. And as far as my ENFJ personality type, I tend to take on a lot of things, so that means that sometimes my organization gets a little skewed. I generally plan ahead. I like planning ahead. However, in a group setting, sometimes it's difficult because they have to get everyone to agree to plan ahead. So, however I might plan, I do tend to do things last minute. So I like to at least know what I have to do last minute ahead of time. Stability, I'm actually generally calm. My mood is pretty level across all fronts. I'm very active and energetic. However, I don't feel like I have extreme highs and extreme lows. There is a certain tipping point with my frustration levels that I get to, and I can have a short temper once I get there, but I'm not ever yell at people, because I think that's weird, unless you're my brother. I am open to new experiences. I really am. I like to eat new food, meet new people, make new friends. There's a little introvert in me sometimes that wants to go away and garden or cook by myself. But aside from that, I tend to be a really big extrovert, and I think that sometimes can mean I value relationships over getting work done. So sometimes I think I need to be kept on track during group projects to not just get to know my members, but get things done. Onto my learning style. I am a kinesthetic learner. I tend to say that I'm a hands-on learner. I like to touch things, mold things. I like to work with my hands, and if I can't be in a classroom where I can do that, then I tend to get antsy, and I need to take often breaks. And I do that in group settings when you have to do a project in a room. I don't want to be confined to one space for too long, otherwise I get antsy like a 5-year-old. So I oftentimes take breaks, but getting back on track is the key to that, and that's something I have to work on and make sure I listen to. I'm a very oral learner too, so a lot of times I'll repeat things back to solidify them in my brain. I think that's part of being a kinesthetic learner, and I also clearly talk to my hands. Locus of control. So I have a pretty strong locus of control, as totaled by my test. I tend to agree with this as well. I do think that a lot of your own future lies within how much or how hard you try in your efforts, and so I think I have a lot of control over my future. As far as fate and destiny go, if I want a good grade, I'm going to work hard for a good grade. I'm not going to want it to come to me, and same with the job. I'm always searching for opportunities, meeting people, and kind of understanding not only who they are, but how I can be connected, which I genuinely like to meet people. I'm not just trying to get connected, but it always helps. ENFJ. This one's the most interesting, I think. I'm definitely, ENFJ is my J-type personality. I'm an extrovert. I am intuitive. I am feeling and judging. ENFJs obviously tend to be extroverts, which is what the E part stands for, obviously. I definitely very decisive, whether my decisions are right or wrong. I like to work with others. Sometimes, like, for example, this happened this weekend. I work at a restaurant. I was talking to somebody at a table, and I was like kind of joking around with them and getting to know them, and that's just my extroverted personality being genuinely interested. However, my one manager thinks it's funny because she always makes fun of me as being like manipulative, but I'm like, no, I'm just charming because I like to get to know people. She doesn't like that definition, so I do. I'm intuitive. I tend to be intuitive of people's feelings. Sometimes I may not pay necessarily a lot of attention to it, depending on like the time situation, but I tend to know what people are feeling, or I think I do. So I kind of probing questions if I can tell that there's something off, and that needs to be attended to. Along with being sensing and judging, I think that I like with the whole intuitive and sensing part, then I can kind of sense what's going on and hopefully like steer the direction or like pause if we need to stop and like talk to a group member or figure out what's going on. That's that one. Oh, and judging. I tend to judge pretty fast. I make fast decisions, but sometimes they're not always well informed because you don't know everything that's going on. So I think sometimes like the judging part can take some like precautions with making judgments about like people and things going on because they may not be as they seem sometimes. I scored pretty moderately on the snapshot report for the type A personality test. I tend to be, as far as impatient and irritability, I just right in the middle. I have a very high level of tolerance for frustrating situations. I don't get stressed out super easily. But then once I do hit that point, I'm like, all right, let's kick it into gear. Let's figure out what's going on. So if people are like consistently like resistant to that, like I get frustrated. But I tend to try and positively verbally address that situation. And I have a high emotional intelligence, which means that I will be a star performer, says my test. But also that I have a pretty level emotional intelligence. I have a good sense of like what cause and effect of things, and therefore tend to be a little bit more stable and dependable in group projects. So that is me. Thanks for your feedback.